Are we gonna be able to do this?
I don't know.
What is wrong with you?
What's wrong with you?
What's up, y'all? I am here with Ryan, my boyfriend. Why was that so awkward?
Because you're awkward.
He is the, I'll give your official title, training director of Team LoCoFit. It's his fancy way of saying that he does the training programming for some of our clients, and then he also has his own training business too. What
is that?
Anger management strength training. So if I could say that right, that is, you know what? Why don't you just start talking, because you're making me uncomfortable.
Okay. So my name's Ryan, as I was just introduced. Today we're going to talk about training for hypertrophy and strength, and is it possible? So,
we get a lot of those questions just in general, whether it's like clients or social media, or just even in general, like in person. You know, people are just wondering like, hey, can I do both train for strength and hypertrophy? Like, what are the differences? Can they both happen at the same time?
Yeah.
And like usual, it depends.
Not just, there's never just one way answer. For just to start off, this all depends on your experience and how far you want to go in each direction of the sport. So if you want to be the world's strongest man, or you want to be Phil Heath, those two paths eventually are going to separate. Now, when you start at a base level of training for youth or even a younger training age, so you might not be young in years, but your training age is young, so you come into the gym as a 30 or 40-year-old, you can do a lot with very basic training, and you can train for everything almost. You can do plenty of cardio, you can do plenty of strength training, you can do plenty of hypertrophy training, and there's also a continuum of strength and hypertrophy training where you can get large or grow muscle size via high rep training, medium rep training, low rep training with heavy loads. So there's a large spectrum of different ways that you can get big, and the only way to get strong is usually to lift heavy. But you can usually get stronger also by getting bigger. So there's a lot of give and take between the two.
And they go together, you know, so particularly like even in the off season, right? I would say that having strength goals even as a physique athlete is important. And then even as a strength athlete, adding in physique based training, whether it's, you know, more accessory work, is going to be helpful. And then during kind of an in-season period, you know, you're going to have to specialize a little bit more. So for a physique athlete, you might focus a little bit less on strength, and then for a power athlete, you might focus a little bit less on, you know, physique and accessory movements. But really the foundation, I think people get really caught up with training on like, what is the perfect rep range? What should I be doing? What exercises, whatever. And the goal truly can be, you know, you can do 1 to 30 reps and make progress, right? The goal should be to hit everything, and obviously it needs to be logical, it needs to make sense, but it doesn't have to fit into this perfect little box like, oh, I'm only doing strength right now, oh, I'm only doing physique right now, or just in general, because a lot of people who are listening might not even be, you know, getting on a physique stage or doing a powerlifting meet. But in general, if you just want to look better, feel better, perform better, you should focus on both. So I know this is kind of like a back and forth thing with a lot of people, but for like a compound lift, right? Like even if it's not necessarily like squat, bench, dead, there's still validity in progressively overloading certain things that are going to be more compound, right?
Absolutely. And progressive overload in itself is basically, everyone knows, is the fundamentals for increasing your performance or your goal over time. Now, the time frame is what everyone gets confused. So there's a micro level progression, which you could be doing dumbbell rows or hack squats or whatever for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks, depending on how long the stimulus lasts you. And every week you're trying to get a little bit better. So you're either adding sets, adding reps, adding weight, trying to execute better to where you feel the muscles working better in that movement. So if you're doing dumbbell rows, maybe you started with 90 pounds for 10 reps, but 2 weeks later...
That's what I did last week.
2 or 3 weeks later, you're doing the same weight, but the lat engagement is completely different, and now you can move up to a little bit heavier weight and try and get the same progress that you made before with lat activation. So we have the micro level progression, and then you have a macro level progression, which is where you see big changes occur. So these small incremental progressions add up over time, and it's going to be from changing exercises, changing rep ranges, just basically adapting and evolving as an athlete. So these might take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 20 years before you can reach whatever the pinnacle goal is that you're aiming to get to. So depending, again, just the same way we started this conversation, depending on the level that you're at is going to depend on how long it takes and how far down one path you need to go to reach that goal. So Dorian Yates trained for how many years as a bodybuilder? He started when he was in his teenage years and was, 6-time Mr. Olympia, I think. So whatever it was, he was there for 20 plus years putting in the work. And he was very specific towards just bodybuilding. So whatever the goals are, you just have to start somewhere and do everything in the gym. Don't be afraid to train different modalities and try and experiment and see what works for you. Because what worked for Dorian doesn't work for Flex Wheeler. Flex Wheeler did high rep, high volume, 3, 4, 5 sets of 20 reps. Dorian Yates did 1 or 2 top sets, balls to the wall as heavy as he could. So those are 2 extreme examples of elite athletes, but that's how far down each path they had to take to figure out what worked for them.
Exactly. So if you're just starting out and you're like, hey, I want to, blend both goals, you totally can. And then the more that you specialize, the more that you'll have to focus on one or the other. But again, like we said, even if a lot of people hear the word strength and they think only like powerlifting, I think nowadays, because it's so popular, so people just think, oh, squat, bench, dead. Like, no, you can still build up strength in plenty of other exercises. Now, of course, compound lifts are going to be better as far as like bang for your buck for muscles involved and just overall stimulus.
Especially for beginners, because you're learning movement patterns over learning just muscle activation. So again, there's differences between there, but that's for another video. And as Lauren was saying, you use the compound lifts to just put on general mass on the individual. It's not going to be specifically targeting a certain area. It's just indiscriminate bulk being put on someone, or muscle mass, not bulk.
Yeah, I'm like, so when you hear that, a lot of, maybe chicks are going to be like, oh, I don't want to do that then. I'll just stick to my isolation work. When we're talking about overall muscular size and density, that takes very, 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 very long to build. And it is very challenging. So if you have squats in your programs or you have deadlifts in your programs, I promise you're not just going to blow up. That is a huge combination of your diet and your body fat levels. So just had to throw that one in there because I know a lot of people are going to hear that and then think maybe I'll just stick to my fake plyos, which are not real plyos, which you could definitely do a real video on those. Anyways, thank you guys so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed this. If you guys are an OG listener to the YouTube channel, remember we did all those videos at our apartment?
Yeah, we did like 2.
I know, but like they were like so long ago. Whatever. We did all these videos.
Okay, talk to you later. Bye.
Oh, wait, I'm not done. So those were really funny. And those were just like from the beginning. So you guys remember Ryan from all the way back then. And we have something really, really exciting coming out within the next few weeks. I'm still going. So the first people who are going to know are going to be on the newsletter, and it is involving training. So if you're interested to be the first to know about it, please sign up for our newsletter. It's completely free. We send out 2 articles per week, and you can just go to the site, teamlocofit.com, and there's a little subscribe button at the top.